Today's fan art was made by the DeviantArt user Galactic. Be sure to check out her profile and give her a watch by clicking the link in the below. If you have any art for me, be sure to send it to me through DeviantArt, Twitter, or my email as displayed on the screen. Hello, Kidney Army. My name is EHX-KOR, and I have a very special video for you today. I was browsing around on Facebook, and I decided to take a look at some of the pages of my former high school classmates just to see what they were up to now. And one of these girls, I found this YouTube video, Broken, Coming Out Monologues YYC. Before we start, I want you to know that this girl in particular thinks she's non-binary. Just so you know where we're going with this. Yes, we have these retards in Alberta too. Alright, let's go and develop some grade A cancer. And I know what you're about to say.
Oh, why don't you censor the name?
Well, I mean, the link to the original video is going to be provided below. Anyone who clicks down that is going to see it anyways. I trust you guys well enough not to go and harass her.
A coming out monologue by me. 5th grade, we started sexual education and I was uncomfortable. More uncomfortable than the other kids who were mostly giggling uncomfortably. They glanced over sexual attraction because I was in a Catholic school, and that's all they really could do.
Now, I get that the Catholic system is kind of messed up. I've never experienced the Calgary Catholic system myself, as I'm not a Christian, and I was not brought up in a religious household. But one of the participants in the film that I created, which I'll be releasing in late June, early July, was a part of the system. And he talked a little bit more about the way the Catholic system worked here. From what I understand, they're not actually allowed to talk about sexual reproduction and the importance of safe sex and all that, because that's just what the Catholic board policies say. So I'm sorry that you had to go through elementary and junior high without gaining the knowledge that you should have because of the crappy system you were thrown into.
Some of the kids nodded like they understood, but I didn't understand. 6th grade, I dated a boy who was rather sweet, but the thought of kissing him felt wrong.
Probably because you were brought up Catholic, where they constantly push the leave room for Jesus thing. This isn't surprising.
The kids at school always asked if we had kissed, and every time I said no, the whispers increased.
Okay, you know that happens to everyone, right? Let me tell you a little story. Back when I was in 10th grade, I had my first boyfriend. This was just before I started coming to terms with, oh fuck, I'm a tranny. You think 6th graders are bad? The high school students badgered us non-stop, asking if we had had sex yet, even though when the questions first started, we hadn't even been going out for a month yet. Eventually, he caved and just said yes to get them off our backs. And of course, this news traveled, since kids talk, don't you know? You just have to ignore that shit. Either that or tell them to fuck off and mind their own goddamn business.
7th grade, and the thought of kissing anyone in general was absolutely wrong.
Again, this is likely a product of the way you were brought up.
3 boys had broken up with me by then, and I felt like there was something wrong with me.
You think you're a fake gender. There's definitely something wrong with you.
8th grade hit, and I dated another new boy because I didn't know I was allowed to say no, and I thought it was expected of me.
And there we have this stupid feminist point. God, I'm so sick and tired of girls making this excuse.
It's just expected of us.
Why don't you grow a backbone and politely decline the offer when someone asks you out? If they get all pissy about it, congratulations, it's not your problem. You stood your ground and said no. You are not in control of the way someone reacts and should not be held responsible for their reaction. Take some fucking responsibility for your life and your happiness and stop blaming your problems on society's, quote, expectations of you.
We made out, and I spent every second of it wondering, what was for dinner? And could I get home and curl up in a blanket now? I felt gross every time we kissed, like dark tendrils creeping up my insides and squeezing my heart just wrong.
If you don't want to, you are allowed to say no. Then you could have just gone home, had that dinner in that soft blanket. Don't kiss someone if you don't want to.
During that time, his friends threw rocks at me because I wouldn't walk home with them even though they weren't my friends, and they never were.
r/that happened.
He broke up with me in the summer after his friends verbally sexually harassed me, shouting, "Use protection," and a condom thrown at me.
Maybe he split up with you because you two weren't on the same page. Maybe he wanted to go further with the relationship and you weren't comfortable with that. He probably didn't want to force you and instead opted for a girl who would better fulfill his needs. That is essentially the reason my first partner and me split up, and we're still friends 5, almost 6 years later.
He spread a rumor that he touched my chest under my shirt, but he didn't, and it was just a rumor. I lost all of my friends, and that summer I overdosed on Tylenol due to braces pain. But I think now I know it was more than that.
And that's shitty of him to do. And that was shitty of your so-called friends to do. And I'm sorry that happened to you. You're not the only one to have things like that spread around about you. Take my situation earlier as an example. From there, you can choose to either rise above it and grow as a person, or allow it to haunt your every waking moment like you did.
People's whispers increased. Grade 9, and I had managed to find a small group of friends unaffected by the popular kids' poison. I refused to date, and that was okay.
So it looks like you learned to not allow things to get to you anymore. Good job. And good on you for putting your foot down and making your own decisions rather than blaming everyone else around you for your poor choices.
Because they had labeled me a slut and a whore.
And never mind.
I took a pair of scissors to my arm. I was hurt. I am hurt. They continued to whisper. Grade 10, and I moved. Different school board, different name, because my dead name gave me flashbacks of rocks and sneers. I dated a girl, and although it didn't work out, I wish her the best still. During that time, the bullies found my private social media accounts and attacked me.
r/that happened.
I delete and start anew. At this school, I was subjected to people of different sexual, romantic, and gender orientations. I Googled and began to think that pansexuality was for me, but something about it was still wrong. Grade 11, and I was the designated orientation research buddy. At that time, I got closer to a friend questioning their gender, and they explained asexuality and what agender was.
Great. That's why when I first met you, you were cool. You weren't indoctrinated into this bullshit ideology until a year after you first started at that school. And that's why after I graduated, you went so far downhill.
I broke down in the library because I wasn't broken after all.
Are you sure about that?
I came out to my mom as asexual, panromantic, and agender. It didn't go so well.
As far as I know, your mom doesn't buy into this gender pretender bullshit. So good on her. At least she's got a working brain in her head. It really is a mystery for the most part why you turned out so wrong.
I'm told it's just a phase, and one day I'll find the right man.
It's just a phase. It is just a phase. She's absolutely right.
It hurt and stung, but I know now that she's trying and simply mourning her old concept of me.
Well, yeah. Having a child who you thought you knew like the back of your hand suddenly drop all this shit on you, basically saying,
Hey, I'm nothing like what you thought, and I liked you my entire life.
is gonna be a huge shock, and it's gonna be extremely hard to get used to it, whether you like it or not.
A music trip to England, and I got to know a sweet boy in my choir. He was and is open to understanding me and using my pronouns of they, them, even though I had only figured all this out a couple months ago.
The poor sap. I pray he finds someone better.
I'm comfortable with myself, so when we kiss for the first time, I don't go home and scrub myself clean. The tendrils don't creep up and choke me.
Well, at least you found someone you're actually comfortable being with. You learn to make your own decisions and to not let other people, or more likely your perception of what people expect of you, to influence your choices.
I stopped recording the years with events after I'd figured most of me out. There are still so many things I don't understand, but now I'm not choking on the feeling of wrongness and brokenness. There are days where I wonder if life would be easier if I had stayed in the closet.
Take it from me. While it may be easier in some regard, it can be very challenging at the same time in other ways. There are reasons I haven't told my family about what I'm doing, and it'll probably bite me in the ass when it comes time for surgery, but I'm well aware of what I'm getting into.
But being surrounded by all my supportive friends has reminded me that I am safe in my orientations regardless of the world. I am valid in my orientations no matter what anyone thinks.
That's debatable, but keep living in your delusional fantasy world.
And that to me is beautiful.
Yeah. Okay. I am so excited for this non-binary fad to keel over and die off. Though, I wonder what'll happen to kids like this girl who realize they just spent a decade of their lives living in a delusional fantasy devoid of any real-world experiences. Red pill rage is a bitch, and the longer you avoid it, the worse it'll be when you finally come to. That's all I have to say about this video. Before I go, I want to tell you about the We Heart Art Amino. We Heart Art is a small but growing community of artists varying in skill, which is available through the Amino app. Come and show off your skills, learn from others, chat in public chat rooms, and so much more. We even have a weekly featured artist that you can nominate your friends for or be nominated for by someone else. I'm currently a curator and I can't wait to see you there. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to hit the like button and share it with your friends. Smash down that subscriber button and tap the bell notification to never miss another video from me. I hope you have a good day or night. Time zones are weird, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace the X out.